So, to just shortly introduce me, my name is Hans. I'm the facilitator of this session. Hi, Mike. And hi, Mike. Yeah, I'm a freelance coach, project manager, and a creative nerd, as I stated. But the session is not about me. It's about Jeff Joe and all the participants who will join this discussion. And yeah, I would like you to rename your Zoom name as you would like to be addressed. So that means we all call Johanna Chef Joe and me Hans Kluge. And therefore I'm editing this to umbenennen. I want to be called Hans. Pup. And Mai is right, or is there a pronunciation error? No. Okay. And for having a good discussion, I think the preparation with the microphone on would be a good setting that you can spontaneously act and speak if you want to. If you don't have how do you say Baustelle? A construction place in the background. Yeah. And we are welcoming Chef Joe.
Thank you.
And yeah, we have 50 minutes for this breakout session to discuss or to go dig into deeper in your topic. And I would like to give the voice over to you. And I'm happy to see what's coming next.
Well, I'm happy to see that too. I guess I'll just start with like asking the participants, what are you already doing when it comes to zero waste cooking? Is there anything, or yeah, let me know.
So I would just start out. So, well, first of all, thank you, I must say. So that was an inspiring thing, but I've also followed a little bit of your movement already through Martin Geisenhainer. So, well, I think I can learn a lot from what I've seen you're doing, but I can also resonate that I'm not doing enough. Based on what I can see, I'm not doing enough. What though did happen during the Corona period is that we have tremendously lowered the amount of things we buy. So we are more what's called conscious about what we buy and what is in our refrigerator, and that we really know what we are doing out of that. And our refrigerator has never been that empty as today, I must say. So, but I just made a lasagna in the background. So, and you talked about the carrots, and I use carrots today. But I could see maybe I should rethink what I'm doing there, because, well, there is a lot of I'm scrubbing off, I'm peeling off, which is maybe not good. So yeah, that is what I'm currently doing, and that is definitely not enough when thinking about zero cooking. But I also got a question of the participants, or the rest of the participants. I'd make the statements maybe.
All right. Someone else want to say something?
So I'm absolute beginner with zero waste cooking. I just tasted it while watching your video. I was very inspired by Martin, and I'm deeply impressed what you do. I'm deeply impressed about your ideas, sailing on a boat and using only 2 plates and a small kitchen, and doing online courses from that. And I really want to learn more from you. And that's why I didn't have any more money for donations planned for this year, but I did a little bit for your project and your crowdfunding, and I'm happy that you did it, that you could complete it. And I really want to learn more ideas about carrots and waste and everything else. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your support, and it's not about how much, it's just about supporting me. And I was very happy about it.
Okay, and we are welcoming to Casper Juan. How do I pronounce your last name? No. The discussion is about what was your question? What we are doing in sense of zero waste cooking already in private. I would like to hear about Mai and Kiran. What are you doing when you cook in a sense of zero waste?
Well, for my part, I think that I've certainly learned a lot from Chef Joe in terms of where to buy things, how to prepare things, what to look out for. And I think the overall message that has been so reinforcing to my mind, that I think is important to spread, is that there is nothing exclusionary or exclusive about eating well, eating healthy, and eating with respect for the environment. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be complex. It is accessible and available. It's just about coming up with the right habits and the right mindset. And once one does that, I think it becomes and can become very much second nature for all of us. And that for me has been a very reinforcing and interesting thing to learn about preparation, is that it's not that difficult. It doesn't require you to reinvent your life. It's little changes, and every little bit helps. And I've been really fascinated to learn and to see that.
Einfach reinschwätzen.
Yeah. I wanted to ask the Geisenhainers in the sense of you are practicing a lot of zero waste cooking now.
So for me, it starts to grow your own food in the garden. Even if you live in the city, you can do it in a little pot. Yes, pot or box. So we are this year we didn't buy vegetables because we have all in our garden. Und was heißt denn Selbstversorgung? So we are Selbstversorger. I don't know the name in English.
Self-sustainable or self-producing?
Yes. And it was a really great feeling. But we have the luxus that we have a garden. That's true. But you can do it also in a little pot, as I said.
And it helps not to eat meat, because then it's a bit difficult. You have to shoot the animals in your garden.
And it's difficult to grow your own animals.
So we are vegetarian, almost.
Okay.
We're flexitarian.
Yeah.
So Mai.
So Mai. Huh? Sag mal.
I saw a lot of nice photographs from you in the kitchen. How about your zero waste cooking approach?
So I think Mai don't want to talk, but
I'm just here to hear my sister talking. Okay.
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 So we need questions to be answered by Chef Joe. Until it's also not just listening, but perhaps he will join when it's interesting enough. I would just want to say from my perspective that it's you talked about how we are conditioned for preparing food and taking the carrot and so on. And I found it very interesting because in normal cooking books there you have the carrots and you use them and with the rest of the carrots, nobody says that in the recipe. And one question for me was why? Why are all those recipe books constructed like this? Even the Chef Koch portal in the internet.
That is a great question. I would like to know the answer to that as well.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think a big problem is that we are such a, I don't know if you can say it like that, rich society. Like we have a lot of money. I think like before, when we didn't have as much, that was not the case. That was not the problem. I think everyone used as much as they had, like every part of the vegetable. I mean, why not? It's edible. But I think it's a very interesting question. I think it's a big mistake. It's in the cookbooks, what you learn in school, like everything. You really have to think about it and like have the thought yourself, like, why am I throwing half of it away when I can use the whole thing? I mean, for me, it's very sad already to see that in the store, when you buy your carrots, like, of course, when the season is for carrots, because otherwise it's like kept in boxes and then you can't keep the green on. But when the season for carrots is, most of the time, they're still not on the carrots. So you can't even get them with the greens, which, I mean, why? But then I go to the market and buy my carrots there. And people are asking the farmers to cut off the green because they don't want to take it. So I think it's a problem. It starts in our minds. I think it's nothing we do on purpose. I think it's just automatically, it's a habit. And yeah, we have to change that.
Do we have historic experts here in this round to challenge the question, since when did we started to not use the whole vegetable and to do not use the whole fruit? Because as you said, in ancient times, the people many years ago, the people used the whole fruit, the whole animal, and so on.
Yeah.
And do we know, experts and historic experts, is there a breaking point, perhaps industrialization or something like that, where the cut was to throw things away, to be how do you say to that food, convenient, to be more convenient?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is very much possible. I think we kind of lost a bit the Verbindung, the connection to nature at some point. And I mean, not everyone is growing their own food in their garden. It's an awesome thing. I love to grow my own stuff as well, but not everyone has the time or the green thumb or whatever. So I don't know. It's just, yeah, I feel like we really lost the connection. And as I think Martin Frick said in his in the video, that also people buy such cheap food. I think it just became a thing that you have to eat meat 2 or 3 times a day, and of course, then you can't afford the good stuff. I mean, who can? But that's just maybe for some people like a sign of wealth or something. So I can eat meat 3 times a day, or maybe that was a sign of that once upon a time, but now we just forgot why we do it, and we just do it because we're used to it. I don't know. It's hard for me to understand, because for me, I can't buy cheap meat. I just think about the animal, how they must have lived, and then I can't eat it. That's just kind of gross, actually. So I don't know how it's possible, but maybe most of the people don't think about that, or they don't want to think about it because it's easier.
Don't know about that.
Or that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of material out there where
Yeah.
you see how
It's-
animals are kept.
I
So,
think they don't want to hear it.
yeah, I think so too. They don't want to.
That's part of the indoctrination, I would say. So I'm not an historical expert, but I might think about when you go back in time and you see, the monarchies we have, and like the French, they had a huge monarchy at some point, and you should know about haute cuisine and stuff like that. And I think that at some point, the rich people, so to say, said, well, I don't like this, and the color must be more beautiful, and this must be more beautiful, so that the, aesthetical part of it influenced it. And at some point, when more people reached wealth, they just copied it, what was provided further, So we have done this behavior change in that direction, I would say, where we now, of course, somehow need to come back. But I would also like to ask a question if I can.
Okay.
So I've written or noticed two things here on my tablet. The first question is in regards to what Gitta said, namely the education system and the energy consumption and dependency. So there's two questions here, but we start with one. So have you noticed that due to your efforts that there has been less energy consumption when you cook all the stuff you cook now? So yeah, and that the dependency was getting lower due to that you promote the zero waste cooking compared to, I wouldn't say traditional cooking, because that is wrong, I think, but the way we cook today, all must be finished in 5 minutes, and just put it in the micro or whatever it is. So is there less energy consumption, do you think?
I find that hard to answer. I mean, we use the whole product, so we definitely buy less, but we still have to prepare the whole product. So it's hard to say. It depends on what you do with the product, of course, whether you cook it or not, whether you eat it raw or. But I mean, it always depends on what you want to do. If you want to do something complicated, fancy with it, then it probably takes more energy. But you can also keep it simple. It doesn't always have to be super complicated to be tasty and interesting to eat and healthy.
Yeah, do you think in that connection, now I need to jump in and build further, that it has to do with, that we don't think about or not enough about what do we need to eat for, what is the reason for eating? So instead of, thinking like, okay, there's nutritions we need, there's calories we need, that we totally lost this aspect, that we just go into the next shop, we buy everything because we are hungry, and that's it, that we are not thinking enough about why we do eat in the first place.
Yeah, I think a lot of people these days just eat because they have to eat and not anymore to enjoy the food. That's always been a big part of my life. I love food and I really enjoy it. And I think that's very important for also having the motivation to cook yourself. I'm very sorry, but I think my dog has to pee, so I have to take her out really quick. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
I know how that feels with 3 dogs.
if 2 minutes are enough, that's okay. So we can proceed with the calculation on energy consumption on using a whole product.
Yeah, but maybe there's more than just energy. I mean, the system is perverted by administration who rules the size of an apple, for instance, or the size of whatever vegetable.
Okay.
And so lots of products which have been grown do never come to a sales point, because they are thrown away immediately, because they don't fit in this concept. And here you have, of course, resources wasted as well.
Yeah, I totally underline that. I have a grandfather who is still gardening with 82 now, and he is so angry from time to time that he cannot get the good old stuff again, to grow his potatoes and stuff, because they are so normed and yeah, like you say, they are so structured made that you cannot grow the good things again. But of course, he's not the one going into the internet and finding the resources where you can buy still the old stuff, like we have made. So yeah, that's a good aspect.
But there are a lot of places where you can get this good to go oder irgendwie heißt das. Und so you can pick up this sag schon.
Food
The
that should be
leftovers.
thrown in the
Leftovers, yes. Or this unconformed vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a good way, I think.
definitely. There's also unique in Coop. I think they have unique, like one box with all the veggies that are too small, too big, whatever, ugly. Yeah, and that's, I think, also a cool way. And it's also cheaper.
It's even cheaper.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Where do you have those boxes? Unique?
I think in Coop.
That's in Switzerland.
I'm sorry. Right. I think that should be in every supermarket. I think that should become normal. I mean, it shouldn't be separated in the first place, but as it is, then at least have the box where there is the unique veggies.
Again, a question from my sad knowledge. Do we know why we control the sizes of apples, of the vegetables, and so on?
Because all the poor people in the European administration have to do something.
Yeah, not a sarcastic answer, please.
Don't you think?
There's no sense.
Don't you?
There's a certain history there with container shipping in the 1960s and other methods of standardization. The idea was to be able to transport foods more efficiently by allowing them to be automatically processed. And if you have a gateway in stainless steel on a machine that's a certain diameter, anything that is too big won't go through. Anything that is too small might fall through a filter. So the idea was that to put food out quicker and to transport it more effectively, it had to be standardized. And that was one of the things in the 20th century, in any event, that has led to the problems that we're facing now.
Yeah, so due to economic reasons.
Always.
Money. Yeah.
It's the wrong thinking of standardization, to be honest. And that is so lean, I would say, as you can be. That's understanding standardization the wrong way, to be honest. What
would be the right way to do this?
Well, the right way be to think about the things. The problem is that we have tried to conquer the world. That we wanted to ship everything everywhere as fast as possible and super cheap. And then you don't think about the local distribution any longer. You think about the world distribution. And then I can only say what Kieran has said, and then you come up with these ideas, because it's about growth. And growth can be, maybe it's an enemy. I would go that far and say it is the enemy.
Yeah, when it comes to eating strawberries in November, for instance.
Yeah, I can't say what I think of that. So these are the stuff or things I'm not buying, to be honest.
No, it doesn't taste good either.
No,
it tastes
exactly,
like nothing.
Exactly. then I wait until my grandfather has his strawberries finished, and that was way too much this year, to be honest. So I was cooking them down to jam. But I have another question, if I'm allowed. So Gita said a lot about the education system, And my question would be to you, do you feel that there is enough education for kids how to cook? And what do you think we maybe need to do better in changing the education system to get kids more conscious about how they cook, what they cook, when to cook, and so on? And I can only say we had cooking not really as a subject, but we had these project weeks, and then you received 5 Deutsche Mark during these days, and then try to cook something. And that was more, in the relationship, you have some money you can spend and try to do something out of that.
Yeah, on a budget, yeah. Well, I think there is definitely not done enough. I mean, I think the whole school system, you don't really talk about, you talk about climate change, but you don't really talk about what you can do to prevent it. And I feel like kids these days more and more feel like something is going wrong and we need to change this. And I think they want to learn about it. So it's just a shame and a waste that they don't get taught. They have to teach themselves, to have to go on the internet and look it up or whatever. But I mean, they really want to learn it. So why would they not give it to them? And I think it would be great to have like a cooking school in school, like once a week, where you prepare a lunch together and where you can, like, because I know so many people that can't cook because they weren't taught at home nor at schools. So I think it's very important. It's very important. And there you can bring in like just a little bit of zero waste. I mean, with every meal you cook, there would be some waste, and then you show them how to not waste it. I think it would be great.
Maybe then we can also reevaluate, as some schools have this canteen things, where you can buy some lunch. And well, at least I've seen some documentaries and things where the food is not good. It's really cheap made, and the cheaper the better. But the kids are really eating shit, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good food. So maybe that would even help them to, to confront their own canteen and say, hey, here's a better way to cook this. That would be fantastic, to be honest.
Definitely, 100%. Yeah. And also, I mean, it's not like they spend more money on the product. They just use the whole thing. So they also save money, and it's more healthy. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're far away from that, sadly.
Have you personally done something? Have you visited schools and teach kids?
No, not yet. I finished working last summer, and since then I've been building my online cooking school and my crowdfunding, of course, which was a lot of work. So no, I mean, that would be definitely interesting. I haven't thought about that project yet.
That's okay.
Sorry, Dominik. Have you already thought about TikTok cook hacks? Because I have 2 teenage boys, and they're really interested in learning to cook and being independent from their mom. And my younger son, Kay, always comes and, do we have this, that? Because I want to cook this, that. And maybe this could be a possibility to reach the young people better than via school or any other way. TikTok at the moment, it's the platform of the younger.
I will follow you on TikTok as well when you start there.
Yeah,
I will do an account then as well.
I don't have TikTok. I don't know how it works, but maybe if I have some time, I'll try to figure it out. I think that's a bit like the generation after me. But I mean, of course, I want to also reach the younger people that are interested.
Then you have to get TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. It is
Soon
definitely.
you have a social media manager.
I hope so, because I don't really enjoy doing the social media part.
And then maybe comes this networking aspect into consideration, what we are talking about, that we need more interconnectivity and then helping each other faster, through these networks.
Yeah, no, definitely. That would be great. Yeah.
One question from my side for having you started this business, or is it a mission? It's more a mission, right? From your side.
It's both. I mean, I want to travel and work. I need to survive somehow. So you need money for that. But it's also a very important topic to me. I mean, I could have done something simpler, probably some online job where I would have been someone's employee and just do the job and then be off when I'm off. But it's a very important topic to me, and I also have a lot of knowledge. I don't know everything. I'm still learning every day. I'm always looking at articles and stuff, and it's very interesting, like what people even try out to do. I just saw something about grilled Parmesan rind, and it's supposed to be delicious. I'm definitely going to try it. So yeah, to me, it's just, maybe it's a mission a bit. Yeah. I'm just very passionate about it, and I want to share that passion with people who are interested. Yeah.
Is there something you say you need in the sense of help from perhaps the participants, kind of ideas you need or other help?
Excuse me, what?
Is there something in your mind? So let me say, we just talked about go to TikTok, and then it's okay. And for helping in a mission, it's my question: in which cases you need, or you even or already need help from other people, and still need help from other people?
I wouldn't say I need help in that sense, but I think it's always great to talk to people about what you're doing and what your ideas are and everything. And every time something new came up that I didn't thought about yet and was a great idea. So I think you can also, like, when you work together, you can come up with really, really great ideas, and that helps you to keep moving and not stagnate. Yeah.
So my question would be, do you, so if I get you right, you're really challenging yourself every time to make a zero cooking out of it. So there's a lot of experimentation in it, right? So what are the limits there? have you ever encountered a situation where you said, oh, this smashed my what's called my thing?
I mean, sometimes it doesn't turn out perfectly for the first try. Mm-hmm. For example, I once roasted pumpkin seeds because, I mean, they're in there, so why wouldn't I? And yeah, they were very chewy and hard to bite. So I had to go research what are the techniques. Oh, you have to boil them before you roast them. So there's always a learning process. But I also just like to go in the internet, look for inspiration. Or also, once at work, I was making some papaya chutney. And then I saw all those seeds inside of the papaya, and I just Googled, can you eat papaya seeds? And it said yes, because I don't try something where I don't know whether it's edible or not. So I tried it, and they tasted so good. A little bit like mustard, Kapuzinerkresse, if that says something to you. And I decided to put them in my chutney. So, I mean, sometimes just look at the thing, and if you don't know if you can eat it, Google it. Everything is out there.
What I like here in particular is that you really keep challenging yourself, and that you keep experimenting. And when you're what I consider and calling the knowledge threshold, when you hit it and you say, okay, well, I've learned something, I need to do some research or I need to change something, and then keep going, which is really good. This is what I really, really, really like and support.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, no one knows everything.
Yep.
My boss, the chef of the kitchen I worked in, he was always open for new information or new ways of doing things. And not everyone is. Not everyone. Some people think, oh, I learned this, I studied this, now I know everything. And they're not open to learn new ways or whatever. And that's just too bad, because then you just get stuck.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
failure helps to grow and develop. I remember the green leaves you brought, and you had a nice recipe, but it didn't taste. It was bitter. And as long as you don't die from eating it, you learn something.
Definitely.
So how are people reacting when you travel around? I could imagine that some people would also say, like, "Ooh, what are you doing there? That's not workable." But then I could also imagine that a change happens when you then try it and people eat it, and then comes this, like, I wouldn't call it eureka, but I would call it maybe aha effect, So do you feel that once these people have seen and really what's called see it in action, that they may be requesting their own thoughts, or that they reflecting more over it?
I do think so. I would say for myself that I'm a good chef. I always like my food, at least. So yeah, no, I love to wow people with ingredients they thought were rubbish, create something delicious out of it, and then they're like, oh yes, next time I'm gonna do the same thing, because why would I throw it away when I can do this delicious dish with it? So yeah, that's always a great feeling when you make people happy with food. Yeah. Is there any other questions? Mai, hast du eine Frage?
I only want to listen. But perhaps Till.
Die Mai möchte dann gern mit der Johanna eine Kochschule aufmachen, weil die Mai studiert ja Lehramt. Und dann macht sie mit der Johanna, die ja Chef ist, eine Kochschule. Hör Mai.
Ja,
So now we are building the real bridges, So we've just discussed now how can we make an impact, and how can we bring that back to education. I like that. I'm cheering for you. Keep going, please.
I
For
will.
me, it sounded like command and control. But okay.
That's parental control.
Yeah. Right. I did have a question, but I forgot about it.
It's because of the age. Habt ihr das gehört?
Ja.
Okay, we are coming to an end now.
Sorry.
Unglaublich. So if no other questions occur.
What is about Till? Is he just listening?
It seems so, because he never switched on his audio and.
Yeah, sorry. I just can say I have nothing to
Contribute.
To participate that is worthy of an imitation. My problem is my life is completely in the regular. And so I think, especially for avoiding waste, I see it in my own life. It's first you have to do is to have a regular life, because my plants at home they die. The vegetables they get rotten in the fridge, and so the only thing to cook at home for me is to live from cans and from the freeze. Nevertheless, this is the reason why I'm listening, and of course I ask myself about how to deal with energy versus food that comes from far away. What is real waste? How to deal with bottles, for example, with fluids? All this. So in the end, it's a tons of questions. First of all, I just listening and get inspiration, and then as next I start thinking about how to change my whole life.
But as we see, as we heard and saw now, it's that your opinion and your side of this problem, you need a regular life.
Exactly.
If you didn't say this, we shouldn't. We never discuss about this. Wonderful question. What about irregular lives and zero waste cooking? Is there some recipes already in progress?
Well, I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean you only have a little time for cooking, or yeah?
In my case, I'm sure this is not the problem. When I cook for hours, and often I cook many dishes, and I put it into the freeze for having it later on. This is the only thing. But at the moment I freeze it, I use plastics. Or I use something that is useful for the fridge, for the freeze. Nevertheless, there was also solutions to avoid this. I'll totally know about this. It will be the next thing to organize, and this is the next thing I have to do, of course. But this is how one thing follows the next one, and of course I also need energy to freeze it. First I make it hot, then I freeze it, and I make it hot again.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think it's still better to cook yourself and freeze it than like go take away food all the time, or use like Fertigprodukte, finished food. I don't know, convenience food. Yes, and there. I mean, you can freeze in Tupperwares or in jars as well. Just don't make them full because it expands a bit. But
what's a jar?
A glass jar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where marmalade is in or whatever. Yeah, you can reuse them from whatever you had before, and you can put it in there, not too full again, otherwise it'll pop. But then that's not a problem. You can freeze in jars, for example.
Try this. I was not. I didn't try it until now because I thought it's too dangerous. It will explode. But I will try.
Yeah, just really not too full, and it will explode.
Till you talked about bottles and fluids.
Yeah, for example, I'm a wine drinker. So what is waste in this case? Of course, until today I'd never felt bad when I put the empty wine bottle into the recycling glass ton. But actually it needs also energy to bring this bottle back into make it back to be a wine bottle, to recycle it. And nevertheless, I never would avoid to drink wine in my life. I think, but I think the glass bottle is until now the best we have. Of course, the cork is not perfect, whether it is cork, which we have not a lot, or it is plastic. So these are all the thoughts when I forget it after one bottle of wine. But
yeah, I mean that's a good question. Glass, I think, is only more sustainable than plastic actually when you reuse it.
For sure.
Because the recycling of it is very energy taking or whatever. So what I read is that then actually plastic is more sustainable. But I mean, I guess you don't really want to drink wine out of a Tetra Pak.
That's right.
Oh, come and visit Denmark then.
If you are in a need, then you drink wine out of no.
Yeah, of course. But it's not the good stuff, I would say.
No.
But there is a possibility to refill it, I think.
Wine?
Yes, I'm sure.
I mean, but the thing with wine is that it has to age. I think, does it also age in the bottle? I'm not so sure. But
it continues to age, but not under the same circumstances than in a barrel.
So it doesn't need that. I mean, maybe that should be something that someone should invent then.
I think you need a kind of a cork on the top and really close it properly. And so I think that's kind of supported by a normal supermarket. And
well,
I'm not sure about this. I'm not refined.
So, Joe, as you travel around the world, have you ever been in a place where they're experimenting with edible packages?
What is it?
Okay, there's well, I don't like all social medias, to be honest, but I'm on Instagram and following this a company called FORMWELT, and I think they're located. I'm not 100% sure, India or somewhere in the Asian area, and they have a lot of waste, of course, on the coast and stuff like that. Plastic waste from food, mainly from food, because everyone is running around with these small plastic bags, everywhere there. So they are converting seagrass into edible packages. So this is really something I'm curious about, why we don't do this in Europe. So I'm living close to the coast, and Denmark is not using all the seagrass to convert it over. But I think it's fascinating to see that you can make a package that you can eat afterwards. And what? So this is something I would like to see. But my question was, of course, if you have encountered this.
No, actually not. I'm in France right now, and here at least all the plastic you buy, or almost all the plastic, is recyclable, because I feel like that was not the case when I was back in Switzerland. I mean, all of it didn't have the sign on there. But no, I haven't seen that so far, and I think that should be definitely. I mean, I saw that there was been research done or stuff figured out, but I don't see it in the shops. And yeah, I really would love to see that, because that's what we need. 100%.
We'll just check for the link so I can share it here.
So now when the discussion becomes interesting and more information evolves, we have come to an end and go into a 10-minute break now. So that you can join, you as the participants, not Johanna herself, can join the other breakout sessions at 6 p.m. And I have to say thank you for this discussion, for your information, for the points that have been made. And the last questions is to Chef Joe. Name one takeaway from this session. One change in perspective, perhaps, that you generated.
Well, I found the aspect very interesting where I go to the kids, because I haven't thought about that yet. And of course, the younger generations are our future. I mean, I can go to my grandparents and teach them, but I mean, it's way more important to educate the children, because they are gonna take it out and teach their children and so on. So I think that was very interesting for me, and it's important. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are looking for the child cooking forums. So videos or whatever. So thanks a lot. Time is over. Go for a break. Open your window. Take a deep breath. And Johanna, you're staying here in this Zoom room for the next round at 6 p.m. And to all the others, thank you for your participation. And yeah, if you like, you can stay here as well. But
Oh,
Yes.
Joe hasn't said how we can keep in contact, or is that later?
Oh, I'm gonna put my email address in here, so you can write me, and when I have news or something, I can make something like a newsletter, I guess.
Share
She's
also
on
your
Instagram.
and LinkedIn profile is, I think, in this community, it's quite a way to connect.
Yeah, that too.
So thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Hans, for the moderation. I say goodbye
Thanks,
for the
Hans.
moment.
No.
No?
Punkt. Come. I'm sorry. I'm talking to myself.
thanks to you, and see you soon.
We'll see.
Yeah, bye.
And who wants to wait for the contacts in the chat? But
Now it's right.
now it's right. Okay. Contacts in the chat. Wonderful.
Yeah, everything recorded and will be published later. So it's important to keep.
Yes.
And yes, welcome audience, and we are welcoming Chef Joe, Johanna, and I'm giving over to you for the first question you have to inspire us in a wonderful discussion.
I would like to start as before by asking what your experiences are with zero waste cooking, or what are you doing, or do you know anything or practice anything in that direction?
I can start. So in our housing project where I live, we have a community supported agriculture project. So we get vegetables from a nearby farm, and we and other people are also coming to us to pick it up, and we support that farm. And so I get all sorts of seasonal food at the moment. And for Halloween, we got a big pumpkin. And so my kids wanted us to make a Halloween pumpkin, which I did. So I had to put out the whole interior, and I stood there with all the pumpkin pips, right, seeds.
Yeah.
And I was like, they look exactly like the pumpkin seeds that I can buy at the supermarket. So why don't I just put them in the oven and dry them? So I put them into the oven. I cleaned them and washed them, and then I put them into the oven and dried them with salt on them. And then a day later, I had guests, and I just put the pumpkin seeds there, and we had the pumpkin seeds. And I was in a restaurant where they did crunchy broccoli leaves, like the leaves of the broccoli they put into a pan and fried them. And since I learned that these things can be eaten and done, I always look up, like, what else can I do with the stuff that I usually throw away? But I'm just starting, and I'm really curious to learn more.
That's a great start. Definitely. Someone else?
Yeah, Zone here from ROE. Hi. Today, I when you spoke at the beginning, I was a little bit ashamed because, to be honest, food was one thing I never thought of to be sustainable. I mean, I tried to buy locally and all the stuff, but when it comes to the cooking, I guess I cut too many pieces off and threw it away. So your panel gave me today like another perspective to think about. It's not only about transport and car and all the stuff. So also the small things. So I just want to thank you to open this perspectives to me.
Yeah, I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, for me, it's also quite new. It's kind of perspective in cooking. First of all, I don't cook very much. My girlfriend is cooking, and I just enjoy eating. But food is quite important for me, so I went vegan, mostly 99%, I would say. Sometimes I only do vegetarian, but 2 years ago or something like that. So food was a topic for me in health issues and then ethics and stuff too. And health for the planet, of course. So but in this cooking thing, don't throw too much away. I try to eat my fruits with skin. So mostly I eat everything with skin. It's more a thing in convenience than in thinking about not throwing something away, because in health, because I know most of the vitamins and stuff is in the skin. So it's combining that, but I also have this convenience thing. It's fast to eat it with skin, not slicing it up. The fingers don't get too gluey and stuff like that. So I'm curious what I can learn here, because I'm at the very beginning in zero waste. Yeah.
Well, we all have to start somewhere. I'm very sorry, my dog is flipping out right now. We all have to start somewhere, and even if it's small steps, no one makes a turn from 1 to 100 in one night. That just doesn't work. So yeah, I think it's important that we at least we're curious about it and want to change something, and that's where it starts. Everything else comes in whatever way. Yeah. So
maybe I can just share in, Chef Joe, that I think our today's eating habits of only eating the fillet or eating the best part of everything are not so old yet. I mean, when we look about 70 years ago, 2 generations, our grandparents who experienced the war, they were definitely used to eating everything. And when I look to the culture I partially come from, the Southern European culture, also there it's still normal to actually eat most parts of the animal. So it's just changing recently. And here for me, it's maybe more a habit of bringing old knowledge back. So from a meta perspective, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I just know that quite often for me, it's also just ignorance, I don't know what to do. So I recently learned that you can eat the peel of the fig, which I just did not know. And several people told me, and now it's like, yeah, of course I can do that. But I believe if you just had a few hints and tips and you saw people doing it, we could actually achieve a lot more together. So I'm absolutely looking forward to your zero waste journey of cooking and letting us participate and getting a few more tips, actually.
Rebecca, one question. The peel of what?
A fig, Feige in German. The violet bluish thingy coming from Turkey or Greece, usually Italy as well.
I'm trying to plant that on my balcony, but it's never takes fruit.
Not fully the climate that we have here. That's so very tasty.
Yeah.
Jakob, so I'm looking at the chat in this at the Zoom chat, but I think that we can use this Zoom session to talk and don't have two ways of communication. Carl, I have recognized your question. Perhaps we will ask Chef Joe what's there with the banana skins. But I would like to have perhaps Jacob talking about his experiences with zero waste cooking, like Johanna asked.
Just not so many experiences, but I just remembered now because of your stories. When I first tried a kiwi with skin, people and then I didn't know to eat that you can eat the skin of a kiwi, and it feels a little bit like a small spider on your tongue. but you get used to it. And when it's sometimes it's kind of I like this surprising moment when I'm surrounded by people and I get a kiwi and I bite into it, and people are kind of totally, oh my God, what are you doing? But you have to really wash the kiwi. And I think that's kind of moments where you can get where you create a cognitive dissonance in the head of the people. Oh my God, he's eating kiwi. And then you can join the or start a discussion about, for example, zero waste, which I never did because I was just having fun eating a kiwi with skin when somebody showed me that. So, but relating that to zero waste could be a fun moment or fun intro into that.
Definitely. That's it's always good to start to talk about something like this, like to shock people or make them like, huh, what are you doing? So
4
yeah.
weeks ago, I learned this kiwi thing. 20 years, I thought I have to eat it with the spoon, and therefore I didn't like kiwi. And then someone said, you can eat the skin. And new dimension. Because as I said, I'm a convenient friend, and so it's super fast. Hey, more kiwis. And the golden ones are thinner skin. So
they're not as hairy, yeah.
Who have tried the kiwi with skin here in the round or at the table at AOE?
I have to admit, I did not yet.
Great.
And I don't like kiwi, so no.
I just eat the skin, then it's okay. Give the rest to somebody else.
I'm doing it with the pie, with the Schale, with
skin.
Skin. Thank you. I'm doing it with the skin into the smoothie.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. You don't have to just do it in the mixer. Are there other?
You can even blend the seeds for avocado, for example. But you need a good blender for that because it's super hard.
Okay.
It's also healthy. Yeah.
Okay. To mix it up.
Yeah. Don't try that at home, kids. At least not with your conventional blender. Absolutely. Markus, I'm impressed that works actually.
Yeah, I didn't know, but it's the Vitamix and stuff. Those big blenders, they do it. they crack it.
Looks like the public viewing also has some experience in that.
Yeah, exactly. We also have a Vitamixer and put in everything, also avocado cores or however it's called. I find food a very interesting topic to add with more consciousness about what you eat and why you eat. Do you eat to get satisfied, or do you really eat because you want to give your body what it needs? So it's and where does it come from? So there are so many consciousness levels, like asking yourself, where are all the mess foods are coming from in the supermarket? And from a systemic perspective, there are more and more films also out there. But you're looking at the system winners. Look at the avocado industry, the sugar industry, the cacao industry, the Getreide industry. So they all have similar stories, really producing on a monopolistic way, often with mafiosi structures, and it's really So being more consciousness about what you eat is also a step to be more consciousness about everything else and what it does to this society.
Yeah, not only what you eat and how you eat, too. For example, eating while not talking. Yeah, being conscious while eating. And the structure of the food and stuff like that. It's also a nice nice try.
Yeah, I think it's also not only about why you're eating, like for the nutrition or for being sat, but also whether or not you enjoy it. I think some people just eat so they give their body what he needs. But I think when you actually enjoy eating, then it's also way more fun to cook and experiment and everything. So I think that's also kind of important point.
But if you can't cook, you can't enjoy, right? That's different.
You can enjoy the food of someone else, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
As you told us. Maybe we come to questions from the audience, because in the chat there are just 2 banana skins. What can we do with it? Fry. What about frying? Frying things.
I guess. Yeah, I think I saw something where they made some like vegan bacon out of banana skin. I actually did not try it yet, but I'm definitely gonna. I think it's mostly about the seasoning, so to give it taste. And I also saw something like pulled pulled banana skin. So I think it probably has kind of a meaty texture, and that's why people use it for that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I mean, there's tons of recipes online. Just look for pulled pork out of banana peel or bacon or whatever you want to try out.
Jakob.
I have a question, Chef Joe. What are your ideas or examples of systemic solutions for zero waste, like laws or taxes? I heard something like France forbid to throw away food from supermarkets. Are there similar ideas for bigger solutions than for the people themselves? Like, could we tax things different? Could we provide laws? Could we do other kind of bigger solutions from the society or from?
Yeah, definitely. We talked about it in the first session, that most of the vegetables or fruits don't even make it to the store because they're too small, too big, too ugly, whatever. And I mean, they're just as good and tasty as the pretty ones. So that is definitely, I think, for me, like the biggest way to improve that business. And yeah, I think it's important to raise awareness. In Switzerland, in Coop, we have a box in the veggie section, and it's called Unique, and there's all those veggies in there that usually don't make it to the store. And I really enjoyed buying those because they're actually cheaper because no one wants them, and they're super edible.
So in Germany, there's this project. I know the project Etepetete, it's called, and they do the same stuff. They do like HelloFresh and sending it to you.
Yeah.
But only with this ugly vegetables, and stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice. Yeah, thank you.
Did you try Etepetete box? Did you have it?
Yeah.
You have it?
I had it, but it was a bit a problem with taking the package and stuff, so I ended it again. But it was okay. It was quite cool.
I honestly I'm getting from a community supported agriculture now, and that is the real food. What we got from Etepetete before, that was still. It wasn't Etepetete. It was.
Oh yeah.
I really think that was really sorted for people who still want to have the clean, nice looking. I've never had carrots from them that were like creepy or something like that. There was like what I get now. That's the real stuff.
Okay, so there's
but
a
the
level more.
Etepetete box, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well that's kind of sad. But okay, well, yeah, I think the best way is definitely to go to the source itself. 100%. You can see where it's grown. You can talk to the person that grows it and get the whole thing. Yeah, definitely.
I once heard of an initiative here in Germany that was quite local, and so I couldn't do it because it wasn't local to where I lived at the time. But basically, what farmers could do there was they could people could say, okay, I'll give you a monthly payment for your farm, and then they would have like, I don't know, 20 people contributing to that farm, and these 20 people would get produce from that farm. So you'd know the farm, you could go there to that farmer and really you could see what they were doing, and you could actually go there during several harvest festivals and kind of collect the produce, and you could have it delivered as well, but you could go there yourself and collect it. But it was really, really local. That's why I couldn't really try doing it. But I really like the idea of a farmer kind of saying, okay, I collect this, this amount of people that I need to get money from to be able to sustain my farm. And then whatever produce comes from my farm will go to those people. If I have a bad year, then maybe those people won't get as much produce. But if I've got a good year, they'll get loads of produce. So it also takes some of the stress away from the farmer to kind of have to perform. And so they can also produce more with more of a consciousness for the environment. So they don't have to use, glyphosate or other things that are not very good for the environment. And they can do things to help the environment while at the same time managing to keep their business open.
Yeah. We have something like that in Switzerland too, with goat farm or whatever it's called, where I think it's even in combination with you go there for, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 weeks every year and help them, and then in the end you get the cheese as a product. And I think that's a great way of also like going back to the source and see how it's produced, what it takes, how much work it actually is. I think that's also very important to know. Yeah.
I have to make a hint that in the chat, Jacob is collecting links and providing links to all those nice pages and sites. So I think we export it, but if you, click in your Zoom, copy the chat for yourself before it's gone.
Chef Joe, do you have some numbers? How much is thrown away and stuff like that? So how much do we use? Percentage maybe, or something like that, so that we get a feeling?
Yeah, well, about 30% actually of edible food gets thrown away, which is, I mean, it doesn't sound like that much, but I think it's a lot when you think about it. It's almost half. So it's definitely a problem, especially since other people are hungry for food. They need it and they can't get it. And we're just like, oh, whatever. I don't need this. This is bad. This is expired, even though it's still good to eat. Or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy because we have more obese people than starving right now. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely.
I have one question in the case of throwing away or eating skin. The thing of condition it perhaps what is this poison, or this could be poisoning for the body? Like for me, a banana peel is not healthy.
Yeah.
Where does this come from, or are there sources where I can get an information? Yeah, not from the community, but from a how do you say, from a science, so to speak, from food science, that they say banana, okay,
Well,
broccoli, okay.
well, I mean, I don't know. There is a lot of information out there, so it's kind of hard. For example, green beans, when you don't cook them, they're poisonous. But my boyfriend used to eat green beans always raw like that because he didn't know. So, I mean, he didn't die from it, obviously, but
Okay.
it's just you can find any kind of information that you want out there. So I think just do some research, and when the majority says yes, you can eat it, I mean, you're not gonna die from it, probably, maybe stomach ache or something, but I think pretty much most of the stuff is edible. And even like when you have the tomato, the green part on where the tomato is attached to plant, that green part is also kind of poisonous, but it's not gonna kill you when you eat it. It's just not very good for you. So I mean, just be careful, but
it depends on whom you're listening. And in the case of the tomato, it depends on whom you're listening to, because I know this information from this green part. So no, throw it away, you will die.
You will not die. But it's not healthy. There is the same things are in the leaves of the tomato as well. I don't know right now what it is again. Yeah, it's I'm sorry, I don't remember right now, but it's also from potatoes, the sprossen, the things when they sprouts, thank you, they have the same thing in there. What is it?
Who can Google this fast? Yeah.
No.
I heard it's cancerous, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Toxic, more or less, more in the direction of cancerous. Yeah, but I don't know either what's the right expression.
Google says the alkaloid solanin.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's called. I mean, as I said, it's not going to kill you, but it's definitely not healthy for you. So it's better to take it out. Yeah.
And what's also interesting is what I found out is, for example, how you slice stuff. For example, broccoli. If you cook it, broccoli loses some of its super healthy stuff because the cooking process destroys it. But if you slice the broccoli before cooking and leave it 10 minutes, then there's an enzyme released which prevents the healthy stuff from being destroyed while cooking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that proven?
Yeah. I like the site nutritionfacts.org. I don't know if you know it. It's fully free and it's all science-based. Good science-based, so with placebo and double-blind studies mostly. And there I found this information, for example.
Okay.
They also do this comparison, canned beans or whatever, is it as healthy as beans cooked at home and stuff like that. So it's super important. Interesting, sorry.
Can you post the link in the chat, maybe?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I was too slow to write nutrition. Right.
I'm too late.
Thank you. So are there any other questions and hints?
Yeah. So maybe how do you envision the let's say the future of a supermarket when we are going towards zero waste?
Well, it's I think it needs to be local, because everything flew in is it just doesn't taste as good to begin with, because it needs to be harvested before it's actually ripe, so it doesn't get bad on the way. So the taste is not quite there yet, and I don't think we need strawberries in winter and everything. There is enough we can eat. So it needs to be local, and it needs to be like not only the pretty stuff. It just doesn't make sense. Also, when you look at, for example, at animals, meat, that you can buy everything. I think the best solution there, at least in my opinion, is anyway to get the whole cow. Maybe share it with some other interested people, but then you really know that everything of this cow is getting used. And not only the fillet and everything else that is popular.
From the industrial side, they use the whole cow, don't they? And they share the parts. Some goes into food for the animals again. But isn't this? I don't want to buy a whole cow.
Of course.
Sorry?
It doesn't fit in the car either.
Yeah.
And you need a big freezer. Really big
freezer.
Into the car, I'm sorry, we are using public transport, so please.
Yeah, you're right.
It fits in there. I would kill it after so it can walk itself.
No.
Smart you.
That's a really great cognitive dissonance producer, to take a whole cow into public transport, a living one.
Yeah, it would be better than eating the skin of the kiwi.
Yeah. I guess the most sustainable way would be to not eat meat.
Yeah.
That, I think that is, we all know is a fact. But if you really like meat, then at least don't buy it all the time. Buy good quality organic stuff. And maybe also try to go for some parts that you usually won't go for. Like, I don't know, chicken hearts or like a very tough cut of the beef and braise it, or more in that direction instead of like the fillet or what everyone else wants. Nothing yet.
Everything's on the internet. Nothing unique. So people try to transport a cow in a bus.
And look at how old that picture is.
Yeah.
That idea was there a long time ago.
Long time knowledge. You have to.
Oh yeah. It's great.
Gain it again.
Okay.
May I maybe ask for some inspiration, since it seems we have some people on the group here who are all interested at least in food and zero waste. Like, also looking from the other perspective, I could use some tips on how do you reduce plastic, for example. So the wrapping of the food that you buy. And here for me, I mean, of course, you don't use a plastic sack when you are buying bananas or apples. That's fine. But still, when I look to the trash that we are producing here, this is like 80% plastics. And I would like to ask you if you have ideas for little things that you can easily implement in a normal, regular life.
Yeah.
If you have ideas.
I mean, it is very, very hard these days to live without plastic. Even if you really try very hard, it is very hard. I think it's always good to have a shopping bag with you, just in case, so you don't have to buy something. And obviously, farmers markets, farmer themselves, it's not wrapped in plastic. But also, I'm sure you have that. Yeah, I know you have that in Germany, like unverpackt Läden, where you can bring your own jar and fill it up with the dried beans or I don't know what. That is definitely a good source. It is, I think, a little bit more expensive, but I mean, if the plant is important to you, I think that should not be what stops you.
And maybe more looking or asking also from the point of convenience and inconvenience. I would really be curious to hear from people on the call, maybe if they are, for example, using unverpackt, so unwrapped shops, they are bringing glasses there, how they organize themselves, maybe just to get some, heart-to-heart inspiration for that, maybe also from our public viewing group or from anyone else on the call, just to hear how you do this in normal life.
So I'm going to the Unverpackt with my daughter. She's kind of 8 years old. Started with her 6 years, and it was really fun for her to put all the stuff into the jars and to weigh the glasses and put on the labels with the weight. And it's you need a little bit practice to get this routine of having, for example, I started to eat a special sort of olives because they have the perfect glass for my shelf. So I started to have the same glass, and I had kind of 1 year of olives. Now I have kind of 10, 12 of these big glasses, and they have the same weight. So I just have to put it just one time on it, and the cashier at the Unverpackt knows, okay, it's always 404. Yeah, and I tried to optimize that a little bit because in the beginning I had 10 or 15 different glasses, and it got me a little bit crazy to weigh them. And when you clean them, then the weight numbers weigh, and it's so. This is a simple hack of having just one glass, and I'm having this for all my oat stuff. I have kind of different oats, it's so it's getting a little bit heavy. So you cannot. I'm not doing my whole supermarket buy with Unverpackt, but it's a part of it, and I try to make it a fun part. To avoid all the annoying stuff and having fun with my daughter doing this and exploring new stuff in the Unverpackt.
I do actually appreciate the thought of maybe just buying a part of your stuff there, like for example the staples, as you said, like rice, other kinds of grains, oats, and so on. That is actually an interesting idea. Thank you.
So something that is really simple and maybe just a small step in the direction is if you do buy small quantities, you obviously also get more waste. So if you buy large quantities, it automatically gets easier. So it tends to be easier if you usually take a car and drive to one of the larger stores so that you can actually get more in one go. That kind of also is more efficient.
Thanks. Also, I think it's nice ideas. It's really helpful if we just collect a few of those. I find that really nice, actually. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and also want to mention just taking care of what you buy. So that's some strategy of mine. just not buying stuff, which is it's not possible every time, but in some cases it's possible just not to buy stuff which is packed. And I see more and more which green labeling or which do those packages which are better, I guess. And I also buy stuff which is compostable. So there's more and more stuff like that, and I just take care. Yeah, what you put on the
into
band.
the shopping cart.
Yeah, on the band, it's where you have the most impact. So I guess something is changing already.
Well, what I think is important to know, which I didn't know for a long time, is that it needs to be compostable and not biodegradable, because everything is biodegradable, but it just takes a long time. And compostable is what we're looking for.
The right thing for the biotonne. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think also what helps, what is maybe not always super practical, but to plan the meals so you don't buy too much of stuff that expires or goes bad, like veggies. When you have your fridge full of veggies and once you get to cook them, they're already half rotten. That's just a shame. So that's also maybe something to take into consideration.
Also, if you already know what you're then going to cook, you can order that. So we can say, so sometimes we like start with a salad after buying it because then it's so fresh, and then maybe have some staple foods during the end of the time until we need to go to the store again. It's kind of that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Are there good apps that are helping me with that? I mean, I'm thinking about the fridge who controls everything what's inside and orders this in a vision sometimes. But this combined with which meal you want to eat. Is there already such concepts, you know of?
I do not know. I just know about some sailing friends of mine, and they have like a net, because the fridge on a sailboat is very small. So you only put the stuff in there that really needs to go in there, which is also more efficient, obviously. So they have this net and there's all the veggies in there. So you always see them. And then you see, oh, okay, well, this one, I need to eat it now because otherwise it's not edible anymore. So I think when you more have it in, because fridges are deep, stuff gets lost. You don't remember what is in there. So maybe just don't put it in the fridge and you see what you need to use.
Seems like our public viewing group can relate to that, to the big fridges.
What we do sometimes is having a day where we force ourselves to cook or use things up. So we say, hey, next 2-3 days, we just do use stuff which is already there, not going shopping. And so it's also using creativity, because you have to throw things together which maybe you didn't have in mind. I'm not so I'm not a sommelier, so I'm fine with nearly everything. I can eat a can of beans and I'm fine, or something like that. But it's also nice experimenting around and using things together which you wouldn't have otherwise.
Definitely. That is actually my favorite kind of cooking. I don't like when I'm in store and I have everything. I can choose everything. I think it's way more interesting when you have a few things and then you find ways to combine them in a new way.
Okay, I have to look on the clock and our time, and the time is coming to an end. And I would like to, Johanna, just ask you again about inspiration or a takeaway you got from this group, and of course, perhaps a bit of promotion from you for you. your email address or some ways to contact you, just write it in the chat or you name it. And Jacob writes it because Jacob is filling the chat with wonderful links. And
Oh shit! I fucked this up. Well, my brand is called New Wave Cooking. So newwavecooking.com. There you find, I think, pretty much all my contacts. So yes. I think my inspiration of this session is actually, in case I ever gonna speak in front of people again, I'm gonna take a kiwi, and the first thing I'm gonna do is just take a bite of the kiwi with the skin, just to start the topic, because I think it's a great way to like point it out.
So then, thank you very much. Rebecca, I hate it when there's a chat and then there's video. Don't get it in my mind. The FORMWELT donation link should be presented here as well, do you think?
It was just our suggestion. As you know, the conferences are actually a vehicle to also raise a bit of money for the research that FORMWELT is doing to allow people to get systemic education, not based on what they earn or their income, but actually just on delivering that for them regardless of where they are. And that's why we would like to ask, at least if you have the opportunity to donate a little bit to the research, everything that you will be donating is 100% going there. And Jakob, I know, is just busy looking for the link because I challenged him if he can find it on the internet as well. But I also might have it somewhere here. No, I don't actually. It's in this. You just give me a second, please, to find it. It's on your nice thing, actually.
And for all those with public viewing, there could be
but no, I found it actually. So you can do that via PayPal to Ralf and to Gitta Pine, who are the founders of FORMWELT. Yes. And now Hans, handing back to you to close.
Yeah. I was trying to share my screen, but this won't work this time. I have to practice this for the next time. Okay.
Are you sure that this link is correct? Because how's the button? I don't know. I put it again because this should work definitely.
Yeah, it's the right one actually.
Okay.
It says Spenden an FORMWELT.
Okay.
At least on my computer.
Yes, it's the correct link. So just if you want to copy the chat with all those wonderful links and contact possibilities, I say thank you, Chef Joe, for leading and answering this conversation, and all the audience and participants for joining in. And that's it for this session on climate catastrophe. You will have all information, I think. We will collect together, and this will be published at Call Hour, and you will receive an email with all this information with the outcome of these sessions. And I say thank you and goodbye and good night.